How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video, and today we're going to be taking a look at my lineup preview for the all-important double game week 36. We're on a bench boost this week, so we're going to see how that's looking after wildcarding last week, so we'll see how that went as well. Talking about my future transfer plans, some bench boost options that may not be as apparent to some people, as well as a few punts and that sort of stuff, as well as what I would do on a free hit this week if I so were to choose to use it if I had one. Obviously this week I'm bench boosting because I don't have a free hit chip left. Don't think it's necessarily worth the free hit this week, but some teams are in much different positions than mine. So I mean, none of some managers probably wouldn't have had a wild card potentially to go into this game week, having used it in 35. Some only have just a free hit left and are looking, shall I use 36, 37, 38. So we'll look at what my team would be if I free hit this week as well. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Make sure to drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and anything in between, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so that you can join us live for our preview and deadline streams, which we will be doing tomorrow, 1 hour before the FPL deadline. There's a pinned comment down below to let you know the exact time on that. Or you can always just check out the FPL site, see 1 hour before the deadline, and then come and join us on the stream, because we will almost certainly be live. And we do our deadline streams always over on Twitch, and then put the VODs over on YouTube afterwards as well. So without further ado, let's talk about our partners for this video with Manscaped. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped have just launched their 4th generation trimmer, Lawnmower 4.0, alongside their Performance Package 4.0, which also includes the Weed Whacker hair and nose trimmer for those pesky little hairs that are getting out of hand, the Crop Preserver for anti-chafing to make sure that you are as relaxed at all times, the Crop Reviver for maximum conditioning and toning to make sure your jewels are as buff as possible, disposable shaving mats, as well as the premier travel bag for your on-the-go grooming, and lastly the anti-chafing boxers, which I can personally say are extremely comfortable and keep you cool under the highest amount of pressure. What I found the most impressive is that the Lawnmower 4.0 features ceramic cutting-edge blades to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, so you can now have that added security when venturing into uncharted territories. The upgraded trimmer also includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock, and also when you are venturing into those uncharted territories, it has the ability for a LED, a 400K LED, a very strong light that you can switch on and off so you can get that more precise shave. So make sure to join over 4 million men who trust in Manscaped with this exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping, using the code FLAME20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code FLAME20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So this was our team as of last week. We haven't changed anything this week apart from rearranged it on FPL.team site and activated the bench boost. We ended up getting 54 points. Trent he went on the bench basically for Nketiah, who came in for him, but everyone else apart from Schmeichel, who we played Foster over him, although they did get the same amount of points, so it doesn't really matter there, played and did quite well. So Matip, Cash got the clean sheets, same with Laporte. Cancelo got 5 points because he got booked. We didn't captain Salah. We actually went for Kane, who ended up getting us 12 points with the armband on him. Kulusevski coming off the bench getting 2 assists was fantastic. Saka, Coutinho on the wild card as well. So all things considered, pretty happy about the wild card, and this is going to be my bench boost team. And the one topic I wanted to discuss before we got into the various different chips and stuff like that, I'm playing my bench boost this week, which is going to be Foster, Nketiah, Pukki, and Gordon, which I think is fine. We use the wild card to set up for that. Some managers, like I said, won't have that luxury to do so. So premium mids this week. It's been a hot topic discussion among the FPL Twitter community, as well as just FPL managers in general. Me personally this week, I would really like to have Son. I have a sneaking suspicion that Spurs are going to get at least a point at Anfield, which would ruin Liverpool's title chances, basically, because City are probably not going to lose any other games, especially after crashing out of the Champions League in dramatic fashion. They're going to probably make it so that they convincingly beat everyone because they're going to be able to play a full-strength team, which they weren't able to do so. Like Mahrez, as an example, just hasn't played in the Premier League, basically, because of the fact that he's been exclusively playing Champions League games. So he could be in a interesting differential, like on the free hit or something like that, but we'll get to that in a bit. In terms of mid this week, I think, personally, unless your rank is not where you want it to be and you need to roll the dice, I think you probably need Salah in your team. I think he's probably priority number one. Going to be Mo's captain this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he was very, very close or over 200% because of the fact that some managers still have the triple captaincy chip and could potentially use it on him this week. Then the likes of Son and KDB come into the equation. I think KDB, Pep said he was taken off for tactical reasons in the Champions League, although not very tactical considering he got taken off. They scored and then they went on to lose the game. So not ideal from Pep there, but nonetheless, if he's not injured, then I think he's a good option. I think he's one of the more likely players for Man City to play both games. This game versus Newcastle is going to be hard to call because it's a somewhat quick turnaround from the Champions League. You know, Wednesday, Sunday, normal Champions League turnaround, but Pep could just say, oh, well, all the players that basically played 120 minutes let me down, so I'm playing them. So like Phil Foden, as example, would be one of those players. But like Mahrez only played 85 minutes. So does Mahrez come back in the team? We don't know. I would say check out Luke or FPL Luke, FF Scout Luke over on Twitter. He often goes by the name of Disable or Luke Disable over on Twitter. He often does very good predictions and like kind of a Twitter thread on what he thinks about the Man City players, and been very successful this season. So even he might find it difficult this week as well. So we will see. But I think the front three he had playing or starting at least didn't include Foden. I think it was Grealish, Jesus, and Mahrez in it. So just a little bit of a preview on that. In terms of the other options, like I said, Son, I would really like Son this week. I think Son could do very well versus Arsenal. He's done very well at home this season and versus Arsenal. I remember him scoring a banger versus them when there was no fans in the ground. And he's just been on fire. I don't think Arsenal's defense can handle a player like him, especially... It doesn't matter who you put at fullback. Both Arsenal fullbacks aren't very good when Tierney doesn't play. Tomiyasu is only just coming back from injury, so... Will he be able to play weekend, midweek, in back-to-back? I'm not so sure. Do they risk him? I don't know. We'll have to see, because I think he went down once or twice in the game when he did play. And it could be one of those ones where maybe he's still getting back to fitness, and that could play into Spurs' hands. Also, Spurs have a really good result versus Liverpool. They could bring that into the game, and then they could really be on fire versus Arsenal. Home crowd behind them, needing a win. If they beat Liverpool and beat Arsenal, you could pretty much nail them on for the top four over Arsenal, because that's basically what they need to do. Or they need Arsenal to slip up in some way, shape, or form, because beating Arsenal is not enough. Because if they lose to Liverpool, beat Arsenal, and win their last two games, Arsenal can easily win their other three games other than the Spurs one, and they would be still 2 points ahead, which means Arsenal would be top four. So very, very interesting one there. I still think Son is a very, very good pick this week. Me personally, if you didn't have Salah this week, I think the captaincy choice boils down to either Son or a Man City mid of some kind, either De Bruyne or even Mahrez personally. I like them a lot more than the likes of a Trent or a Chelsea player for that matter. I think Leicester's a bit too risky. I think Villa is not great. You're basically only captaining them for one fixture in that case. Cancelo's probably pretty nailed on for both fixtures, seemingly, unless something crazy happens where Pep just really rotates, which would be kind of weird. But Cancelo should play both games, which you would probably think with two 6-pointers. For that one at least, so we'll have to see. But Cancelo has gotten a lot of his assists more so on the left-hand side than he has on the right. And if Walker's injured, Cancelo's going to be stuck on the right-hand side. So maybe his attacking threat is a little bit more neutralized on that side. We will have to see. And also another thing, that Pep doesn't typically like to play Cancelo with Mahrez in front of him. Usually he likes to play Cancelo on the left, where he can kind of be a bit more adventurous inside when he has someone who can hold the width on the outside and kind of provide a little bit more cover there. Whereas when he plays Mahrez, he likes to have Walker in behind him because Mahrez can kind of free roam inside and kind of, you know, use his individual brilliance to create chances as well. So it is going to be very interesting with City. I'm half expecting Pep to basically play more or less the same team. Maybe one or two changes if there's like an injury to Walker or anything like that. But I don't see anything crazy. Apart from Phil Foden probably coming out with the 120 minutes. I agree with Luke on that one. So if I had to rank the midfielders, I would say Salah's probably priority number one. If you don't have Salah, I understand that because you could have money elsewhere in your team to make it you know, more spread out. I would say Son is probably next. I would say probably the likes of a De Bruyne or a Mahrez is probably third. And then I would go with like a Cancelo in fourth. And maybe Kane / Trent in fifth in terms of like captaincy picks. But definitely a premium mid this week. A lot of managers are going to go with Salah. His EO is going to be quite high. I'm going to go with Salah just because even though I think Son is probably going to outscore Salah in these final 4 games of the season, I just think Salah probably better to be safe and then see if I can go last 2 game weeks, go with a bit of risk and still maybe stay inside the top 10K if it goes wrong, but potentially get inside the top 1K if it goes really right. So we'll have to see on that one. So that is the bench boost team as it stands. The only things potentially I would change right now, not really a big fan of Coutinho, but I can't really go down to anyone, which is a bit of a shame. If I were to change some things up, I definitely wouldn't have Robertson because he might be nailed on to be benched for the Villa game, which wouldn't be ideal. So would I go triple City defense? Maybe. And then I drop Coutinho down to, I don't even know really. Maybe you go down to like a Martinelli or something like that, and then you just bank the rest of the money, or you bump up one of your forwards somehow to maybe like Richarlison or something like that, or Watkins even. That would be something that you could potentially do, but well, you know, that's not something I'm going to do right now. I've got the wild card, sticking with it. Going to go into next week with 2 free transfers, potentially use one and roll one, and then the last week go with 2 frees. So that would look something like this. So this week bench boost, next week got some doublers in there. Would play Gordon over either Laporte or Matip. I'm not entirely sure. Probably Laporte. Just because they have a slightly more difficult fixture. Like, if you know, West Ham do have their full team basically going to be available for that game because they're out of European competition. Probably captain, maybe Coutinho, just because he has the double. I'm not really entirely too sure, just by his captain cash just for funsies. And what I would do here is I would actually take Salah out. I would take Salah out here because I think Son versus Burnley at home, Norwich away, definitely outscores Salah versus Southampton away and Wolves at home, you would think. So that would be my one transfer. I would have 2.2 million in the bank. And then on the last day of the season, we can get rid of Cash and Coutinho. Those would be the 2 priorities. Laporte comes back in for Gordon, no problem. And Ketty would go to first sub. Pookie probably second sub maybe. I would get rid of Coutinho. I would go for a punt on some Man City mid. I'll just put Mahrez in there just because he is you know, the more expensive option. And then Cash, if, you know, the likes of Alonso or Reece James or somebody like that maybe is, you know, nailed on to start, maybe I go for someone like that. So I could go for Alonso, you know, last day of the season. Reece James would be probably a step too far. So maybe you go for the likes of an Alonso. And I would captain probably one of Kane or Son in this fixture versus Norwich. Just makes the most sense to me, honestly. Or I could go, if Robertson I know is nailed on to play for sure in this one, like he got his rest, I would have Robertson in there. And instead of Mahrez, I could potentially go for a much cheaper Man City midfielder like a Bernardo Silva, or if I think that Gundogan maybe plays in this one and we get early team news and I see Gundogan playing, maybe I bring in Gundogan. Or I can even go even more different there as well, go triple City defense, go with Diaz, and instead of Gundogan, I can go for one of the Liverpool mids that I think is going to start, like Diaz or Jota. So that would be the situation there. With Liverpool, you would expect there to not be too much rotation. They do have 6 days in between their final game of the season and the Champions League final, so I think they should be fine to play their full strength there, because if they're still within the 1 point and they need to win the game, they're going to play their best team. This is kind of plain and simple. The only rotation I can see from that to the Champions League final will be, instead of Matip, he'll go with Konate, I think, is what will happen. So that'll be what he'll do in that, which is why I like Matip, because I think he plays every game. He plays every game in the Premier League for the rest of the season. The only one I would be concerned about again would be that Villa fixture. That would be the only one, but I still think he's going to play both of those. So yeah, that would be my transfers. But if we were to do a free hit team, you're going to see my ID here. If you want to mess around with my own team, it's 280913. And you can punch in anyone's ID on there, so any team's ID. Very straightforward. If you see somebody like in the league, you can get their team ID and mess around with it and that sort of stuff. You can get your friends and whatnot in the FPL league to let you know your team ID. What would you do with it? How would you do with it? You know, what transfers you would make, all that sort of stuff. I've had a few people send me their team IDs, be like, look, what would you do with my team? Mess around with it on FPL.team. So it's quite good. In terms of a free hit this week, now if I was on a free hit, I would probably still have Schmeichel. I would go super cheap on the bench, as cheap as possible. So Gordon cheap, or maybe I go 5 midfielders and I go super cheap in the forward line. So maybe Kane. We'll just put Gelhardt in place of him right now. Or we can go even cheaper, actually. We can go like the full 4.5. So we can go Dobbin. Maybe we'll keep Nketiah just as like a, you know, we know he's potentially going to come on. Pookie we can downgrade. This is where we'll put maybe a Gelhardt just in case. Trent for sure would be in it. Guaranteed. Matip wouldn't be in it. I think this is where potentially you can go a bit riskier. In defense, I think it's really weird. If you think that the Chelsea play, I think probably you probably don't have a Chelsea defender in it, but if you were going to go one, I think it's probably Alonso. That's what I would potentially go with. For City, however, I wouldn't have a Laporte. I'm just going to put somebody just random in there for now. For City, I would have 2 City midfielders. I would go full bore on this one. I would go De Bruyne. And I would go Riyad Mahrez as well. That's what I would go with as the kind of full strength kind of city attack. This would be a free hit team if I was doing it. So I can get infinite transfers. Still 2.9 million in the bank to adjust or change players if we wanted to. So we definitely want triple Liverpool. How can we get triple Liverpool? I think maybe we do have to keep Matip in that instance. Any other defenders that could be interesting on a free hit? Let's take a look down here at the fixtures here. Don't think we're going to go Arsenal. Maybe Leicester if you can pin one. But double Leicester defense, do we really want to go that? Not entirely sure. Aston Villa, probably not ideal per se. Maybe a real punt could be like a Yerry Mina. They're playing Watford and Leicester, who are just really bad on set pieces. And Mina's back and he's only 4.9 million. So I think that could be an interesting punt. We would have to play one forward of some kind. Maybe it is Nketiah that we do go for. Gordon could potentially come in here. And we can upgrade him somehow to someone. What I want to see if I can get is Son in here somehow. I think it might be too far to stretch to him. So maybe we would go for the likes of a Kulusevski. But let's see if we can put Son in there. How much would we need to get? 3.5 million. So maybe we don't have Mahrez. We have to choose between Mahrez and De Bruyne. I think Mahrez is probably the more exciting pick. I think he's personally a lot flashier when he does play. Cash we could drop down to somebody who's gonna potentially be just like a cheap option. So we'll just put Tavares on the bench just because we want our bench to be as cheap as possible while still having at least one player that can play. So we still need 2.5 million. So again, we could go, instead of De Bruyne, we could drop him down to a cheaper midfielder. Let's say we go for... If we do go for another City defender, we can always go for like a more exciting Liverpool attacker. Maybe we go for Diaz and hope he starts both. And instead of Matip, we can go for more nailed-on defender. I'll just put Diaz in here just because he's someone that we can go for. That could be a free hit team that potentially you could go for there. So you still got Schmeichel in goal. Yes, you don't have the, the kind of, more flairish kind of city midfielders. If you want to go for Son again, you can easily get rid of Son. Put De Bruyne in midfield instead of Son, and then get rid of Diaz and get somebody different. Maybe you do go for... You punt on an Alonso if you think he's going to play both games. Gelhardt, we can just bring Greenwood or somebody like that in there as well. And then you can go for whatever captain you want. I mean, De Bruyne is definitely a good option. You can go for Salah for obvious cases. But yeah, there's some exciting picks in there. I think Yerry Mina again could be interesting. I think double Arsenal is not great, but I think you do have to do it to facilitate the fairly expensive midfield if you still want to keep Trent and Cancelo. And yeah, there's just some exciting picks in there. I think now Leicester is a bit more of a hotter property, so you could go there as well. And so like if I didn't want Saka and I had like slightly more money, I could go to Maddison. I think it's around 7 million. So there are many different ways you can do the free hit, but I would probably have something like this. I would definitely try to see if I can get 2 Man City midfielders. I would try to see if I can fit Son in somehow. I don't know how exactly I would do it. Maybe I'd have to tinker around with it more. But I like those players on free hit. I do like Mars. I do like De Bruyne. I do like Son as well. I think Yerry Mina could be an outside differential pick. I think you definitely keep Schmeichel because I think he's probably the best goalkeeper for this coming week, apart from maybe Ederson, but Ederson's also 1 million plus more expensive than him. I think Trent is nailed on. He had his rest. He's going to play both games almost certainly. Robertson would definitely be a risk, I would say, and I would say Chelsea proceed with caution. That would be my guides on the free hit. And in terms of bench boost picks, I mean, we saw my team. I have to type in the ID again, which is a bit annoying, but that's fine. In terms of bench boost picks, I mean, look, you want players that are going to potentially play both games. You're going to want players that are going to get you points for as best value as possible. So for myself, my team's a bit different because I have Kane instead. So, but instead, if I didn't have Kane and I wanted to go like Son as an example, or like I had a wild card or something like that, I have to change. So we could have Richarlison instead, and then instead of Gordon, I have 9.5 million. So this could be Son, and then I have to get 1.5 million from somewhere. Where that 1.5 million would come from? Maybe it comes from potentially downgrading Saka to maybe Martinelli or something like that, and then you have just slight 0.1 million more somewhere. You'd be able to find that probably quite easily. You could still have Saka if you wanted to, and you could downgrade somebody elsewhere. Maybe the likes of Cash or something like that could get downgraded if you wanted to like a 4.5, and then maybe Kulusevski downgraded or something like that. You could potentially work it out to where you can have this this sort of team. And then your bench boost could be players like Pukki, like Nketiah, like Foster. With the bench boost, basically what you want is you want them to play both games, and you want them to play more than 60 minutes each. Foster, he's definitely going to do that because Roy Hodgson's staying till the end of the season, so he's not going to probably change his goalkeeper. Foster was fantastic in the last game, even though they lost 2-1. He's going to play both games. Nketiah, he's been playing 90 minutes, so he looks great. He had more shots, I think, in the last game than Lacazette did in the last 9 or something like that, so I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. We know Pukki's going to play 90 minutes every game. And then you have you have Anthony Gordon, who's playing an attacking role. 4.6 million, has 2 good fixtures. I think he's fine as well. I think he's the best out of the cheap options. Ramsey being the one who's potentially out for the Burnley game. And then you have Dewsbury Hall, who, again, might not play because of just Leicester rotation. that could just be something that could happen. Even though they're out of Europe now, the first game would be the one that worries me. So definitely would be not trying to get him. I would say Gordon is probably your best bet. And then it's just a matter of finding ways to, if you have extra money in your team. I've seen teams that have much more money in their team than I do. An extra 1 million, 2 million, it definitely helps. If you have an extra 1.5 million, Pookie becomes Richarlison. Team looks a lot better in that case. That extra 1 million, Cash becomes a third City defender. You know, it makes Coutinho become Foden if you wanted him. It makes Schmeichel become Ederson. There's many different things you could do with just 1 million extra. If you have slightly less team value, well, then maybe you got to go for some cheaper alternatives. Again, instead of Saka, you have Martinelli. Instead of the likes of Kulusevski, you have, like I said, like a Martinelli, or you go down to a Dewsbury Hall, who is a slight rotation risk, and maybe you just hope he plays twice. That's really what you hope for. Bench boost, if you get 16 points, that's probably about, that's what you want. That's your target. If you get any more than that, you're probably ecstatic, because 16 points is literally your goalkeeper getting 2 and 2, as well as all your outfield players getting 2 and 2 in both games, which would be great. Those are 16 points you're gonna, the bench boost is going to gain you, and you don't really want to stress too much to make you like take -8s, 12s, 16s to get a bench boost team, because that's just going to negate it right off the bat, unless you bring in a player that has an absolute monster week, which is going to be very difficult to probably do with cheaper players. But hey, you never know. Gordon might get 2 goals versus Leicester. He might get a goal and assist versus Watford. You know, Pookie might get a goal versus West Ham at home. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. But yeah, that's my team for the bench boost. It's looking pretty good, I would say. The only concern I would have is the Villa boys, but I think they'll do well in the Burnley game, and then they have to double the week after as well. Let me know what you think down in the comments below about the premium mids. Any questions you may have as well. Am I crazy to sell Salah next week with only 2 games remaining at the end of the season? Son has Burnley at home, Norwich away, Salah has Southampton away, Wolves at home. Let me just think down in the comments below. That's going to do it for the double game week 36 lineup preview. Yeah, during the regular season, it's £25 for the membership, and that lasts the entire year. And during the off season, they give a 20% discount. But if you have missed that discount, fear not, you can still get the membership for £25, and it's fantastic. You can see the membership area just behind me. You have a bunch of different stats that you can use, powered by Opta stats, and create your own custom tables. You have the Rate My Team tool, you have the season ticker, player comparison tools, a whole array of things that you can use to help elevate your FPL game. So use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to these exclusive tools to help elevate your FPL game. Sign up now. And that's going to do it for the Game Week 36 lineup preview and bench boost options and free hit preview and everything all inclusive, kind of. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you're new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so that you can join us live for our preview and deadline streams. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's a user pinned comment down below to let you know the exact time when those streams will be going live, or at least when the next one will be. We'll be up 1 hour before the FPL deadline for Game Week 36, as it's a big one, so come with your questions if you have any in response to your team or just chip usage, anything like that. Make sure to come bring your questions, always interactive in the chat, as well as make sure to use the discount FLAME20 with on manscape.com so you can get free 20% off and free shipping worldwide as well for your Manscaped order. And lastly, make sure to check out the link in the description below for Fantasy Football Scout. They usually do a preseason offer as well, so that's going to be coming in the next couple of months when the season starts back up and the site relaunches. But the members area has been fantastic for me this season. It's going to help elevate your FPL game, so make sure to check the link down in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.